If you are an X-Men fan, the disappointment grows by the day as they roll out X-Men from the ashes. The creative teams have not been very good, especially the writers. We do have like a David Marquez or Ryan Stegman on some of those books. The big name that everyone's been waiting for is Greg Capullo returning to Marvel Comics, illustrating Wolverine. We've been hearing about this rumor for months now. It turns out that was all bullshit. Greg Capullo is not, in fact, returning to Marvel to illustrate Wolverine. He is returning to Marvel, but he's going to be doing something else. Let's get to all the details, and there are a couple of Wolverine books, if you're interested in the character, that are actually coming out. None of them illustrated, of course, by Greg Capullo, but I'll talk about those at the end. But this is where all these juicy rumors came from. In January 2023, Greg Capullo posted his drawing of Wolverine to Twitter and Instagram saying, "Let the gossip begin." Most speculated Capullo was finally taking the Wolverine gig he declined 13 years earlier. A now deleted version of the post claimed this page was labeled as coming from an upcoming issue of Wolverine. Since then, numerous leaks and rumors state Greg Capullo's work was going to be the new Wolverine series from X-Men from the Ashes, possibly by Saladin Ahmed. And that's been the big rumor coming out of Marvel Comics for months at this point. Everyone assumed Greg Capullo, because he released those images on social media, was going to be illustrating Wolverine. And that makes sense, because if you're going to take Greg Capullo from DC Comics to not be illustrating Batman, you know, he obviously did a lot of Batman work, and you're going to put him on a Marvel character that would really make sense with Greg Capullo's really awesome, gritty, dirty style, Wolverine is the character that makes the most sense. There are other characters that make sense. I would love to see him on a Daredevil. I would love to see him on a lot of those types of books. But Wolverine is the character that really makes sense for Greg Capullo. That's the reason they offered him the gig 13 years ago, which he turned down to go take the Batman gig over at DC Comics. And obviously, the Greg Capullo-Scott Snyder pairing ended up being very lucrative for DC Comics. And they worked together for a long time and probably made millions of dollars together, to be completely honest, because Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder were like peanut butter and jelly there for a while. Now, if you would like to see a Wolverine comic book illustrated by Greg Capullo, but not Greg Capullo, actually, Victor Bogdanovich, at the very beginning stages of the current Ben Percy Wolverine arc, was doing every other arc on Wolverine, and the other one was a Kubert. And Bogdanovich looks almost exactly like Capullo with his art style and his rendering and the way that he illustrates. So if you think Wolverine was a great illustrated by Greg Capullo, go check out that Victor Bogdanovich stuff, and you could be confirmed that, yes, in fact, it would be great. And this is the thing that everyone was holding on to at this point, because it's not Eve Ewing, it's not Stephanie Phillips, it's not Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing, it's not Jeff Thorne or any of those other people. People were waiting for the Greg Capullo announcement, even if it was Saladin Ahmed, who nobody really wanted to see write the book. They just wanted to see Greg Capullo illustrate a Wolverine comic book. So the last hope, the last vestige of hope you had as an X-Men fan for From the Ashes to actually be worth a damn and maybe worth your time and money is basically out the window at this point. Apparently, Tom Brevvort couldn't get it done. Speaking in his latest Substack newsletter, Brevvort wrote, "I'm not going to be announcing anything before we're ready, but I will definitively tell you Greg isn't drawing the regular Wolverine series. But it looks like Saladin Ahmed might be involved in some way." In the same newsletter, Brevvort states, "And I'll tell you, when we were first starting to formulate our X plans, I was suggesting that we move Nightcrawler into a more specific, more pious direction. But Saladin Ahmed and Gail Simone both argued to do something else, and now I'm very glad that I've listened to them." Yes, because there's been so many million-dollar ideas from Gail Simone and Saladin Ahmed over the last years or whatever. In fact, they've never actually had one. But I wouldn't be listening to those guys for creative direction. But hey, Tom Brevvort, you do your thing. But literally, the only thing you had left to announce that was going to get anyone excited was Greg Capullo on Wolverine. And you basically just took, I don't know, the lead out of everyone's pencils. You know, there's no reason to get excited. Are you excited to find out Celeste Bronfman is doing some coming-of-age lesbian romance book on the X-Men line? I'm not excited for that. Are you excited to learn that Christopher Cantwright-Well is going to be writing a series? I'm not excited about that. Are you excited to learn that whatever failed Avengers reject that got his book canceled in 5 issues under Tom Brevvort before is now going to be writing for the X-Men? No, nobody's excited for any of this stuff. Tom Brevvort is criminally negligent for having a complete lack of imagination or any idea how to create excitement for anything. Let's take all the also-rans. Let's take all the failures that we've already accumulated over the years and try it again on another line. Yes, that is what's actually going to put some asses in seats. That's what's going to put people in their comic book shops every single Wednesday waiting for these X-Men books. They're going to read the X-Men comic book from Jed MacKay. It'll easily be the best-selling book out of all 9 books because it is the flagship, and Jed MacKay at least has a decent reputation at this moment. It doesn't have the best lineup. That one's actually on Uncanny X-Men, which certainly has the best title name. Gail Simone's on that book. It'll be the second best-selling book. Wolverine's probably going to be number 3. Maybe X-Force will be number 4. But they're basically all going to be competing to see who can actually get canceled the fastest. The only ones I don't see being canceled are literally X-Men, X-Force, Uncanny X-Men, and Wolverine. All these other books will not last a year. That's how bad the planning has been on this. You can see it every time they make an announcement. And I think Tom Brevvort is going to wish he hadn't let the cat out of the bag this early, because there probably are still some X-Men fans out there and Wolverine fans out there who are like, you know what? Maybe all this other stuff's going to suck, but at least we're getting Greg fucking Capullo on Wolverine, dream pairing of artist and character, and you're not even going to deliver that. That's how limp all this stuff is, and I imagine a lot of people are very disappointed. I'm disappointed, but we should be used to this by now. This is what C.B. Cebulski and Jordan White and Tom Brevvort and Nick Lowe and all the fucking legion of doofuses at Marvel Comics have trained us for. Get used to disappointment because we are never actually going to deliver anything good. And that way, once something like an Ultimate Spider-Man shows up, you can be really happy. You don't get so happy on Ultimate X-Men because it turns out that's not actually an X-Men book, which is really, really weird. Now, if you would like to know some information about Wolverine books that are actually going to happen to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the character, I've got a couple. This July, Logan bears his mind, body, and soul in Life of Wolverine #1. A special one-shot presenting Wolverine's incredible life story in chronological order. Originally published as a Marvel Unlimited companion comic to the X Lives of Wolverine, X Deaths of Wolverine storyline, this exploration of one of the most riveting origins and sagas in all of pop culture comes from acclaimed creators Jim Zub and Ramon Box, hitting stands just in time for the character's 50th anniversary. Hardcore Wolverine fans and newcomers alike will walk away an expert after this action-packed trip through key moments of Wolverine's storytelling history. As soon as I saw the cover of it, I was like, that really looks like the X Lives, X Deaths of Wolverine font there. I didn't even realize they did a Life of Wolverine Marvel Infinity book on their stupid app or whatever, which doesn't really make sense. I don't understand why they keep releasing this shit like in a normal format for periodic comic books, because when you go and you read their little webtoon shit, it's all done vertically. It's not left or right. It doesn't even make sense, but it is the 50th anniversary of Wolverine, and they can take something that no one read, that they already produced, and charge you $8 for it. It'll only be for the low price of $8, so you can see the entire life of Wolverine, a comic book they had such little faith in, such little interest in, they actually produced it as a fucking webtoon first. Like, what a joke. They always do this. It's whatever anniversary of a character, what have we already created that we have to put no effort into to actually celebrating the character that we can put out and say, hey, we did something. These guys are the fucking laziest people in the entire world. Marvel especially. DC is almost getting as bad. We keep getting these stupid giant size issues lately where they charge you $7 or $8 for it. You get a normal 22-page story from, let's say, Philip Kennedy Johnson on Incredible Hulk, and then you get 40 pages of reprint. And they charge you, $7 or $8, like you're getting a double-sized comic book. Even though, if I'm getting the reprints, I fucking want the cover. I don't want the cover on the inside. I want to actually see the cover on the comic book if it's going to be my reader copy. And they're just taking every fucking shortcut under the sun to screw people out of their hard-earned money and do nothing to ever even attempt to salvage their fledgling reputations, not only among comic book readers, but comic book retailers. They are just doing so much to shoot themselves in the dick on a daily basis. Like C.B. Cebulski and Dan Buckley and Tom Brevvort cannot be expedited out of the company fast enough at this point. These guys are in a cycle of failure that they will never, ever, ever be able to get themselves out of. Once you fail this hard for this long, doing the same thing over and over and over again, you've basically just accepted the failure at that point. They're okay living with the failure at this point. There needs to be some type of massive leadership change at Marvel Comics. The final announcement, I guess, is probably the most interesting or perhaps the most fun one. 2024 is a big anniversary year for both Wolverine turning 50 and Donald Duck turning 90. To celebrate, Disney and Marvel have joined forces for a new celebratory one-shot that combines the two characters for one hilarious adventure. Marvel and Disney What If Donald Duck Became Wolverine #1 is written by Luca Barberi. The issue mashes up various Marvel and Disney characters in a story that is a riff on Jeff Lemire and Ed Brisson's classic gritty Old Man Logan. This is very reminiscent of something that they were doing at DC Comics a while back. In fact, they had some really good books where you had like, what was it? It was Batman and Elmer Fudd. That was the Tom King one. It's one of the best comic books Tom King's ever actually written at DC Comics. And the big difference is DC actually put all their good writers on those books. And now Marvel is just going to go out there and just pull out any Tom, Dick, and Harry off the fucking scrap heap and say, yeah, do this book so we can have it done. But we don't actually want it to be good. We don't care if it's fun. We don't care if it's entertaining. We just need the book to go out. But if you were to sell me on any of this stuff, a Saladin Ahmed written Wolverine book with no Greg Capullo, The Life of Wolverine #1 webtoon printed in a periodic for no reason whatsoever, or a What If Donald Duck Was Wolverine #1, I guess I would buy the What If Donald Duck Was Wolverine #1. At least it's not going to piss me off. At least it's not going to fuck up the character. And there's potential to have some fun there. At least the covers are kind of funny. But this is not the way to do it. I mean, whatever. This is how they're choosing to celebrate Wolverine, their #2 solo comic book superhero of the entire Marvel line, second most important character they got. Let's team him up as, well, they're not even teaming him up with Donald Duck. Donald Duck is becoming Wolverine. So it's not even a celebration of Wolverine. Let's reprint some stuff we didn't even think was worth printing out in the first place. And, let's not put Greg Capullo on the character Wolverine. They better bring out somebody good to get people excited, because I imagine... Well, I can't imagine actually people's expectations or feelings toward our X-Men reboot being any lower than they are today. But the good thing we know, as we have been taught over time from the Legion of Doofuses time and time again, is they will outdo themselves within the next 15 days. C.B. Cebulski, Tom Brevvort, Nick Lowe, Jordan White, one of these fucking morons, Dan Buckley, they will do something to actually make Spider-Goblin or Greg Capullo not be on Wolverine seem not all that bad. They will absolutely subvert our expectations, and they will continue to do what they always do, fail, because that's all they do at this point. They couldn't even get Greg fucking Capullo on Wolverine, the only character in the Marvel arsenal that absolutely 100% needed to be illustrated by Greg Capullo. If you would like more conversations and talkings and reviews about the comic books and the movies around comic books and all that kinds of stuff, you definitely need to check out the Thinking Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description. 8 hours of new podcasts every single week with Doc, Jim from Weird Science, Aaron Sparrow, 32 flavors of Nick Weiser, obviously yours truly. And I probably won't be this annoyed because I'll be hanging out with my friends, but I will be bringing the heat, people, and we got a lot more stuff to talk about. Definitely hope to see you there in the not too distant future.